In this video, I'm going to talk to you about why you might want to consider opening an offshore bank account. And what we're talking about here is just a bank account that is domiciled in a country outside of the country where you live or where you are a resident. So it's just an overseas bank account. That's all an offshore bank account is. My name's Aaron. I'm from Offshore in Asia. If you're interested in moving, doing business or investing out here in Asia, head over to offshoreinasia.com, have a look around there. We might be able to help you get on your way. The first reason of how you can benefit by having an offshore bank account is that you can use it as a currency hedge. So if you are into currency speculation, if you're a trader, or if you're just looking for to put a bit of money aside to make a future purchase in a different country, you can use your offshore bank account. You might be a US citizen, you might have a bank account in Malaysia or in Thailand or the Philippines or in Hong Kong. You can use these offshore bank accounts to park money, either, like I said, to do a bit of speculation, and there is a lot of opportunity for speculation at the moment if that's your thing. The USD is very strong against a lot of currencies in the world, and that's no different in Asia. A lot of this comes down to the Federal Reserve setting the tone for monetary policy that then other countries around the world then sort of feed off and follow. Also, with the US dollar being the world reserve currency, a lot of international debt is denominated in USD, so when they change their rates, and rates are reasonably high, relatively high in the US compared to a lot of other countries, that has a ripple effect out across the rest of the world. And one currency that comes to mind that I've mentioned in some short videos and also I've been talking about on Twitter is the Japanese yen. That is getting absolutely hammered over the last couple of years, and it is very weak against the USD. So if you're wanting to speculate, or if you wanted to maybe consider buying property in Japan, there's a lot of vacant and very cheap housing available in Japan out in the regional areas that people are snapping up. So if this is something you're interested in, you might consider parking USDs in Japanese yens and then waiting for the time to buy. Another currency that comes to mind that is quite weak against the USD is the Malaysian ringgit. So if you're interested perhaps in the MM2H or the Sarawak MM2H, or if you're interested in buying property in Malaysia, one of the only countries in Asia that a foreigner can buy landed property, this could work well for you as well. It could be a very good time to start socking away, transferring a few USDs into ringgits, getting ready to make your move out to Asia or to buy your property in Malaysia. The next reason for having an offshore bank account is a political hedge. Now, if you are a resident of Canada or a resident of Russia, you would know what I'm talking about here. And if the country that you are a resident of brings in capital controls or already has capital controls in place, meaning that you cannot take your money out of the country if you're moving overseas, or if you just want to diversify your investments into the international economy, that can make it very hard. But if you have bank accounts that are already set up in different countries that have money in them, that you have a way of moving money in and out of them, that can allow you to continue to operate on an international level. Now, another reason for having an offshore bank account is just for having privacy. These days, there is a bit of a trend, or there definitely is a trend towards the idea that because you seek or you have privacy in financial transactions, that somehow makes you a criminal. No, you are not a criminal if you want privacy. It is not anyone's right to demand that they have full overview of what you're spending your money on. I'm not talking about doing anything illegal here. I'm just talking about having privacy in your financial dealings like you would have privacy in any other part of your life. Of course, this is getting a lot harder now with the common reporting standard that a lot of countries have signed up to. Not all countries have signed up to it, but at least if you have bank accounts in different countries, it allows you to keep some of your dealings private, just for personal reasons. Nothing illegal here, like I said, but not everyone wants to be snooped on all the time. The next reason for having an offshore bank account is for litigation or asset protection purposes. Now, if you were in a situation, if you were sued in your personal life or in your business, which can happen, of course, especially if you're in the US, it's a lot more common there. Now, if you have money in offshore bank accounts, money in foreign jurisdictions, these accounts are less likely to come up in a title search that lawyers may perform on you when they're deciding whether you're worth suing or not. Depending on how sophisticated their title search systems are, they may pick up international assets, they may not, but at least having that money in a foreign jurisdiction, even if it can be picked up in a title search, it's a lot harder to get to. It's a different country, it's a different court system, and it's a hell of a lot more cost trying to go after. So you're just protecting yourself a little bit there as well. It's really good for a bit of asset protection. The next reason for having an offshore bank account is to protect you against system failure. And what I'm talking about here is basically if the banking system goes down in your country, if you have all of your bank accounts in one country and the banking system goes down there, if there's a technical glitch, if there's some kind of hacker attack, if the internet goes down and you can't access online banking for that country, maybe there's a natural disaster that wipes out all communications in a particular country. Any risk that can affect a country on a whole is a good reason to have money in a different country. So if any of these things happened and all of the banks went down in a particular country, if you had bank accounts in a different country, then you're going to be good to go. You're going to be able to continue to function, continue to be able to spend, run your business, and support yourself. And the last reason for having an offshore bank account is just for the ease of doing business overseas, or if you are living overseas. Anyone who's ever traveled or done business overseas while still using their home bank accounts knows that they'll pay a lot more in transaction fees, ATM fees, all of it. There'll be fees on fees for everything you do. And while it's usually only a small amount at a time, it does add up, and it is an unnecessary expense that can be avoided by having a bank account in that local jurisdiction. So it's just a lot more practical for spending and receiving money out of that country in which you are operating in. It's going to make your life a lot easier and save you some money along the way. So they're the main reasons of why I recommend anyone who is internationally minded, anyone who spends time overseas or does business overseas, or who just wants to protect themselves a little bit financially. These are good reasons for having an offshore bank account, and it is getting harder. Countries from around the world are being pressured by international organizations like the OECD. At an international level, the elites don't like this stuff because it makes them harder to perform their agenda. That's not a conspiracy theory, it's just them trying to protect their own interests. And if those interests aren't your interests, then you need to protect your interests. And one way of doing that is by internationalizing your lifestyle, being mobile with yourself, mobile with your capital, and being able to maintain a high level of financial freedom. So I would suggest, if you are interested in this kind of thing, to act sooner rather than later. It's only something that's going to get harder and harder as time goes on. It is still very doable at this point in time. If you're interested in setting up bank accounts in Asia, in places like Thailand, places like Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong, Philippines, talk to us. We can help you to make it happen. Often when you set up an international bank account, that'll make it easier to then set up an international brokerage account if you want to invest in foreign jurisdictions. We can help you do that as well. Anyway, guys, that's it for the video. I hope this got you thinking about a couple of things and about some of the reasons why offshore bank accounts can work for you. We'll leave it there and we'll catch you later.